Well, India has slammed the United Nations for what the world body says was a slow and inadequate response to serious rights violations in Manipur. UN experts say India failed to respond to the series of violent clashes which broke out in May. At least 160 people were reportedly killed and about 300 others wounded. The UN Human Rights Council says the violence seems to have been preceded and incited by hate speech. Experts referred to gender-based violence against women in Manipur, blaming hate speech for fueling atrocities committed against the Kuki ethnic minority. Now, on the ground in Manipur, 4 journalists have been charged for misrepresenting facts about the ethnic clashes in May. All were senior journalists who were seeking to assess how coverage of the violence in the state was being conducted. Now, their report, released just this month, found that there were, quote, clear indications that the leadership of the state became partisan during the conflict. Nia Punya joins us live from Delhi with more. Nia, India has been accused of putting Manipur on the back burner and focusing solely on the upcoming G20 summit. Are there indications that Mr. Modi is planning to take further action on Manipur?
Well, in that statement that dismissed that UN report, India has said that it believes the situation in Manipur is peaceful and the government is doing whatever it can to ensure peace returns to the region. It's important to remember the government has been trying to get the 2 warring communities, the Kuki minority community and the Meiteis, to hold talks. And there has been a tense calm prevailing in that state. But the government has maintained that that report is unwarranted, presumptive, and not indicative of the situation on the ground. This is a charge that the government has had to defend also in connection with that report that was published under the directive of the Editors Guild of India, the report for which those 4 journalists have been charged. The Press Club of India has demanded that those charges be withdrawn, calling them an intimidation tactic. But the state's chief minister, who's also a leader from Prime Minister Modi's party, has claimed that that report would have led to riots and fresh violence in the state, defending the government's decision to charge those journalists. But that report also indicated that the internet shutdown that we saw in the state of Manipur for several months also led to the spread of disinformation and misinformation, with the report questioning the role of local journalists, a charge that the local media has denied. But the situation on the ground is tense, with even Meiteis living abroad, about 1,300 of them, writing an open letter to Prime Minister Modi this week, urging him to step in, to take action, to ensure that peace returns to the region, saying it is impacting India's developmental progress.
More on the G20, an official but controversial name change from India to Bharat. What's that all about?
Well, this has got to do with a dinner invite that was extended from the president of the country to G20 delegates and heads of nations who will be arriving this weekend for that 2-day summit. Usually, the invite would have said the president of India cordially invites you, but a photo shared by a sitting BJP leader shows that instead this time around the nomenclature the government, or here the Ministry of External Affairs has gone with, says the President of Bharat. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs has not commented on the change in this nomenclature and what this signifies, but it has sparked controversy with the Congress party, which is India's main opposition party, questioning that change. They're also making references to the INDIA alliance, which is a coalition of several opposition parties have come together to take on Mr. Modi in next year's general elections, saying that perhaps the BJP is removing references to India from public usage because it's what the opposition parties also represent. But sources in the government have denied that. They're saying that the opposition shouldn't view everything through its own lens. But it is interesting because the BJP's ideological mentor, the RSS, its chief, just a few days ago had said that many Indians should now start referring to India as Bharat. They should encourage that particular usage, because that's what truly represents India's millennial-old civilization. And many right-wing politicians affiliated to the BJP have welcomed that move, saying this is India reclaiming its own heritage.
Neha, appreciate it as always. Neha Punya reporting there live from Delhi.